So, along with farming and being sticky about all these aspects, we are also very conscious about how the brand will look. Since me and Ajinkya came from a corporate city background, we realized that the consumer will initially trust the brand on the way
Look,
it looks, on what it speaks, before they even taste it, what's inside.
how are you communicating so authentically that the customer is only seeing intent?
Because before we sold our first product, for 2 3 years we were farming with our hands on the farm. I've always believed that things made the traditional way taste better, they are nutritionally richer, and I've enjoyed it personally. I always believe that founders carry an energy. That energy talks more than what you're speaking.
I totally agree with you because they will buy for you.
It's a pleasant surprise because over 20% of our revenue now comes from outside India.
How long did it take you to move from a conventional farm to an organic farm?
It took us 3 to 4 years. 100% of my business in outside India comes from my website yet. So I've always believed that brand personality is an extension of the founders. I cannot live a different life and create a brand for a different audience. So when we came back to do farming, it was to be comfortable in our own skin, and we here try to be who we are, what we are. We try to make it very evident that do not copy anybody, do not notice anybody.
You're actually living what you're saying. You're
Yeah.
actually living what the brand stands for. And the word organic you have redefined multiple times. I can see
Exactly.
that. Hello, and we are back with the iconic brand stories. This is a podcast where we uncover the creative leaps of the big brands, the bold moves they've made, and also sometimes what made them stumble. Today, we have with us somebody who has redefined a whole lot of things in the agripreneurship space. In fact, the gentleman before me, along with his brother, has literally taken back to the roots the concept of organic farming. In the studio with me is Satyajit Hange of Two Brothers, and most welcome to you, Satyajit.
Thank you, Tina. What a pleasure to be in Bangalore with you. Thank you.
So, Satyajit, it's been a journey that in the last few years has taken the internet by storm, and a lot of marketers have spoken about it. You and Ajinkya left your banking jobs and have created one of the most endearing and one of the brands that has transcended beyond so much to directly appeal to people. Let's start by you telling us what was behind the name. Literally, two brothers.
Yeah, yeah. It's literally two brothers. Me and Ajinkya are brothers. We're sons of farmers, born in a small village called Bhodani, which is in rural Pune. And I remember when we went back to do farming, one fine day when we were selling papayas and pomegranates in the open market, and people were liking it, we came back home and there was no brand, there was no identity to what we were selling. And me and Ajinkya were sitting in our old home and we were contemplating what should we call this entity of ours that's now selling. So the name just popped up very organically, Two Brothers Organic Farms, because one is that we are both brothers, and second is we changed our conventional farming to an organic farm.
Did you ever think in this journey when you started Two Brothers Organic Farms that it will become such a big brand? Has there ever been any other, conversation that says, okay, should we change name right now, or it is as literal as it stands for?
No, I recollect that there was no conscious idea that we'll be a big brand or a big business. It was just to have a name for the activities that we were doing, and we had done farming for 3 4 years, and now we had started selling. So we wanted an identity to our produce, and that's how the name and the brand came about being. And I believe, Tina, that it's been a daily unfolding of sorts for us till date. I wouldn't say there's a very strong plan in mind, and we visualize that we'll be a brand someday or a large business someday. That was not the case. Every day, whatever challenges came, for us to keep continuing doing sustainable farming and give consumers clean food, we kind of tackle those challenges, and we have come to where we are now.
So, literally like a Karam Bhumi where you actually just went on doing with the right intent.
I think, yeah, you can
Huh?
very similar to that concept,
Yeah.
but yeah, just doing what is on our plate for the day, and then turning up for the next day.
How long did it take you to move from a conventional farm to an organic farm?
It took us 3 to 4 years
3 to 4 years.
because we didn't have experience in organic farming. And if you look around, there are not many farmers who do this kind of farming. There is no structured course on organic farming. So we had to learn by visiting farmers who I call highly educated, but who are not very literate. They're not schooled or college, but they have a connection with the soil, and that's why they do holistic farming. So we learn from those farmers and came back and started implementing on our farm. So it took us 3 4 years to get the farming part a bit right.
I'm very, very interested in this because when I think of your brand, trust comes up really big, soil health, authenticity, slow living, slow food. It comes up very high as the brand conjures up this imagery and messaging to people. Was this a conscious choice that this is what we're going to communicate?
Um, I think a little on the trust part, yes, I would say that it is something that we had in mind that it's literally my farm produces our name attached to that, and the brand is an extension of ourselves. So we wanted everyone who bought from us to get, or to trust us for whatever we are selling. And I wouldn't say it was there was a plan for it to unfold and have this impact, but we were very sticky about trust. We didn't want any question mark coming on the trust. So it's a family farm. It's a family brand. So
So it's a
it
direct
affects.
extension
It's a direct extension.
of you all as a brand. So
Yeah,
it impacts you as well if people feel in a
absolutely.
certain way, right?
I take it very personal. So
Ah, I love that. I love that. And that is what makes your purpose come right in front. It's
yeah.
very visible as a brand today that your purpose is
Hmm.
paramount to this. When you started out and y'all were doing initial farmers markets and labelings, maybe labeled by hand and written down, and I see you with great love. You talk about Bilona ghee as well today. You talk about preservation of sugarcane, etc. When did that transcend to being a brand that has a proper packaging design, and what were the inspirations on the for the design?
So along with farming and being sticky about all these aspects, we are also very conscious about how the brand will look. Since me and Ajinkya came from a corporate city background, we realized that the consumer will initially trust the brand on on the way
Look.
it looks, on what it speaks, before they even kind of taste it, what's inside. So I remember, along with spending on the cows and the dairy and the irrigation systems and the food forest, we also spend 30% of our initial investment on branding, packaging, and kind of marketing. So
Very nice. And this initial investment was y'all
yeah, it is
completely
a
push.
bootstrap brand for more than 5 years. So
What were the cues and what does your packaging today stand for? Give me a few
so
inputs on that.
um we wanted to be unique. We didn't want to copy anybody else. We wanted to reflect the journey from soil to your table. So the illustration is all hand drawn, and it reflects on each product. From, like, for a sugarcane jaggery, it reflects sugarcane growing, harvesting, becoming jaggery in a pan, and then packaging. So that journey is illustrated out there. The idea was also to have less of clutter, minimalist kind of a
Look and feel.
look and feel, and the important messaging right there on the face of the packaging, on the front of the packaging. So, like, if it is ghee, the fact that it's culture, the fact that it's free range cows, these two attributes came on the front of pack. If it's jaggery, the fact that it's you know non-GMO and it's processed without any chemicals came on the front of the pack. So this was the idea for the packaging branding.
And it's a very, very handmade and earthy aesthetic. So
Yeah.
which is what y'all are as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's an extension of what we are. We're a brand from the soil, from the village, very rooted and very proud of the fact that we come from there. So
Let's take this a little forward to content marketing around all of this, because all these values that you're talking about and the brand attributes that you're talking about, many brands in the organic space will vie to say exactly the same thing, but they often come across as very elitist or very, telling the customer how to live and how to eat and things like this. How did you bring out so much content? And I'm remarkably impressed about the kind of content that you bring out, the different buckets and things today. Who came up with all of this? Tell me some of the different content buckets. Tell me, how are you communicating so authentically that the customer is only seeing intent and goodness and not seeing that this is one of the legs of marketing?
I think that's there in our in our thinking unconsciously. We always want to be speaking about how the impact of this kind of farming has on soil, on farmer health, on ecosystem,
Mm,
and ultimately on the consumer's health when he consumes it. Because before the brand, before we sold our first product, for 2, 3 years we were farming with our hands on the farm, and we experienced all those challenges of unsustainable ways of farming, of how soil productivity has gone down by more than 50%, of how chemicals are harming,
mm,
the biodiversity on the farm,
yeah,
and low quality produce coming out. So for us it was always that, how can I as a farmer's son try to change the way farming is done by all farmers in India,
mm,
and selling a produce is an aspect to it. My priority is not to sell produce and earn income. My priority is to ensure that I sell good quality produce, but ensure that many farmers turn to this kind of farming and solve for problems like, economic viability of farming. Because when you do this kind of farming, you're not buying inputs from outside, you're developing your own inputs.
correct.
You solve for your next generation can come into farming because the soil health is yet preserved.
Wow.
So all these aspects were there, in our kind of on the mind, and every content had that hidden intention. So though if you were selling jaggery, the idea was that how can I continue growing this traditional variety of sugarcane in a no, in a organic way, and then make jaggery the traditional way. I've always believed that things made the traditional way taste better. They are nutritionally richer, and I've enjoyed it personally. So that's how it, I think, it
But
panned out.
I know there was a time where you probably would not have had the same machinery and factories and gadgets and things like that. How do you adhere to food and safety guidelines if it is traditional?
Yeah, so initially it was my home kitchen where we
Wow.
started making everything,
Okay.
and there were like, what do you call these, fire chulas, and there were kadais and iron woks where we used to make our ghee and all the other products. Later on, we realized that with scale, we need to have an hygiene aspect. And today, the facilities that we have, we call them mega kitchens. We don't call them factories because they're an extension of our kitchen. But the entire facility is done in a way where hygiene is maintained, where quality is there, where processes and systems can be implemented. But the actual processing of the food is done the traditional way by equipment that has been designed to do it at scale.
Okay. And it this also has been a journey of moving from smaller volumes to larger volumes today. Tell me a little about how are you going to manage scale with the authenticity of what you're bringing in to this.
So it's taken us 10 years to come till here.
Hmm.
We have never hurried. Otherwise, I see that, if there's reason to hurry, then in 3, 4 years you try to build up a brand of this scale.
Yeah.
But it took us 10 years. The focus on the back end, on the farmer, on the growing techniques, on the manufacturing process, everything has taken us investment of time, resources. Nothing has come about overnight, and even to tackle the challenge of scale, we have been investing since the last 2, 3 years for scale that might come in the next 2, 3 years. So uh,
Wow.
I believe that, if I hurry and worry, then it's a challenge. But if I give it its time, then there are solutions that can kind of are viable for me to grow at scale, and and do that. Yeah.
How did the whole going to the US and the other global markets happen? Because since we're talking about scale, I'm very interested in understanding how are you communicating to the other markets? Is there a change in the way you say things to them? And how did it blow up overseas?
So I remember, Tina, I think 6 years back, there was a customer who's a customer now, called Siddharth Shukla from Michigan.
Okay.
And he had been following us on Facebook then. And we were putting a lot of content on how we are farming and how we are making the ghee and everything. And he called us and he told us that I like the way you're making ghee. And he originally is from the northern part of India where they eat a lot of milk products. And he said, I'm missing this ghee in the US tremendously. and I would like if you send me this. And me and Ajinkya were sitting and figuring out, how do we send it to him? I don't know how export functions, what license you need and stuff. But the guy was persistent. For I think close to 7 8 months, he called us every month and told us, please send me, this ghee. And then for his sakes, we removed all the licenses that were required to sell, to
How
send
nice.
across, and tied up with the courier company and sent him 6 bottles of ghee. And then he gave us an extempo testimonial of how the ghee was and all. But we realized that suddenly we had the licenses to send ghee to anybody across the world. And so we opened up the website for international customers. And initial 3 4 years, only word of mouth, only organically, we were getting a lot of interest. Consumers who were in India, their whatever, their relatives and their friends who were abroad were referred to, and they were shopping from our
How
website.
lovely.
But now we have put in a lot of focused efforts in the last 1 year. We are also traveling every 6 months to the US. We have realized that there's a large community in more than, I think, 12 to 15 cities in the US which has been consuming our products. So we're going and talking to them, having community events out there,
Absolutely.
speaking to them about how their choice is affecting farmlands in
In
India,
the back in
and
the
also
country.
hearing from them how the product quality and what issues and what new other items they want for their daily consumption. So in the last 1.5 year, we're investing a lot of time and resources, and it's a pleasant surprise because over 20% of our revenue now comes from outside India. And it's
Lovely.
it's a sort of a, it's a kick you get
It's
because,
a cake, of course.
yeah, because from the village, you've been starting from the village, and now you have consumers across the world. So it's we're
You know,
happy.
something you said is very much a purpose for NRIs, that whatever you spend there is actually making an impact to farmlands and farmers back home. It's a way for them to give back. It's a way for them to. Are you communicating some of this? And why do you
Yes.
have a separate handle for the US? I want to understand that.
Yeah, we are communicating this to them. And the separate handle on Instagram was because when we started going out there,
Hmm.
there were a lot of events we were doing every day. Every day in the evening, we were having chai meets in our consumers' homes. So, like, we were in Austin, and we were at somebody's home. We put up communication, and over 20 30 people
Would just
around
come.
would just come and have dinner with us for that day. And we realized that a lot of this communication is very US specific and very that region specific, and it doesn't apply to 90% of our followers on our handle,
Give
which
me some
is.
more examples of this, please. What is the US specific communication?
So whenever we travel to the US, we're there for a month, and every day we have an event planned in some of the other city. So if I keep putting this on the India page, it doesn't
Huh,
kind of
resonate. It's not
resonate with
relevant to
people out
them.
here.
Yeah.
So we figured out that we need another handle, and the community out there has different requirements. The challenges are different, um, you know. So we thought we'll build it in a different fashion, and also try to communicate to not only Indian diaspora, but also Caucasian, also foreign origin, those
Yeah.
natives
Yes.
out there. So how can I use ghee to make a cosmopolitan breakfast dish or
Sure.
a cosmopolitan lunch menu? Work with those influencers who will help us do that. So that content is very specific to that geography and that culture. That's why.
And you and Ajinkya have actually turned to brand to becoming brand ambassadors, because the moment you're talking to so many people and you're saying these all these sessions, I'm assuming community engagements were organic
Yeah, yeah, they're organic.
and fabulous. If you've been
Yeah.
able to get this engagement, just listening to you and talk authentically about this is absolutely doing the job. It's actually just doing, and they must be going ahead. But none of this is trade industry. It's still D2C.
No, it's still D2C. 100% of my business in outside India comes from my website yet.
100%.
100% of it comes from my website yet, and it's quite a substantial number. So, which I normally hear is very challenging to get.
Very challenging to
We
get
have
for other
not tied up with
founders.
anybody offline. No marketplaces aggressive yet. It's all on the website, and community has played a huge role. I think in the US it's been 6 7 years we're selling, and now it's culminating into this traction that it has now.
Absolutely bravo. I'm just so happy to hear this.
Thank you.
Tell me about India. How much business do you get from your website today, and what are your marketing strategies around that?
So we get around 65% of our entire business from our website, and 15% is then from marketplaces and then from quick commerce. We haven't yet kind of activated offline yet.
Yes, I
Um,
was wondering.
so that's been the nature of business, and we have loved building the business in a way where I know my consumer directly. I can communicate to him or her through his
Yes.
mobile and email, and build that relationship directly and observe behavior to modify stuff at my end also. That's the reason why our website has been kind of numero uno. And even consumers like shopping because I cannot list all my SKUs on a
On the
marketplace or on a quick
marketplace, yeah,
com, but I can list them on my website, and I
absolutely.
can tell them, recipes to make with these, the story behind how it's been grown, the farmer
Mm.
who's behind that, content in depth. I get that space on my website, and that's how business began. I remember, when me and Ajinkya were doing farmers markets, and we realized that a lot of consumers are asking for our produce in Delhi and Bangalore. How do I send it to them, and how do I cater to that demand? That's when we put up a website all by ourselves on Shopify,
Oh, wow.
and started getting those orders. And so it started off organically. It's grown to a large extent organically, and that's the nature of the mix now.
So, I was seeing that a lot of traffic coming to your website is 88% of it is direct, which means the brand is doing wonderful. The brand storytelling is wonderful. And of course, the second implication is your performance marketing is really working well. Tell me a little about the customer journey from awareness building to ordering to conversion to, staying as an advocate. What all do you do to keep the consumer engaged?
So if you categorize that, one is top of funnel awareness
Yeah,
that happens. It happens through organic content, and of course now, since the algorithms limit you organically, you have to use sponsored content to reach more audience.
sure.
So one is the brand doing it. One is also we're tying up with influencers of sorts to help spread awareness among consumers, not only about the brand, but generally about the category. Like, why should they be having cultured ghee? Why should they choose jaggery over white sugar? Why should they have, you know, ketchup that is made with more than 70-75% through tomatoes?
Sure.
And all this uh, awareness building is happening with those influencers. And then after that, when the awareness is there, people tend to come and see the website and shop on the website. Then there is very specific targeting that we do to people.
Retain customers
Yeah.
and
And then then there's the entire retention tool which kicks in once the consumer buys. There's email, and there is WhatsApp,
WhatsApp.
sent at regular intervals, customized to the behavior of that particular consumer. And that's how kind of we keep in touch with
So
them.
let's get a little technical on this. What are the tools in this entire journey that you would not do without? And you can name some of them for our listeners.
So one is the website on Shopify. It's been very convenient. I
Mm.
don't have to be a developer of sorts. I just, plugged and started off
Yeah,
with myself
and all
without
the
a tech
features are
team.
plug and play.
After that, there was a tool Conversio which helped me doing retention marketing through email, but now it's More Engage that we work with.
You okay?
So More Engage helps us do all the retention activities.
Sure.
And for WhatsApp, I think we're using Business on Bot.
Okay.
It's a Bangalore-based startup, and
Sure.
they're helping us do the WhatsApp communication. Payment gateways, I think we're with Shopflow now, and we were with Razorpay earlier. But uh, so these basic 4-5 tools are something that we used extensively. And
And business on bot for post as well.
WhatsApp.
For post communication as well.
Yeah, for
For
post order
Yeah.
communication, and more engage for post order also. Yeah.
Sure. Tell me some of the nice content buckets that you've come up with because I've seen there are lots of them unique ones that you've done. There was a discount one that you had done recently, the biggest
Yeah, we
thing.
do that once a year
You
for
do
two
it once a
days.
year. Yeah.
Yeah. So the brand, has built a lot of trust, like you said, and people jump when we do, when the value is more for them in terms of a discount. But we don't do discounts regularly.
That's good.
Yeah. So that is one aspect. I think now we are thinking formally about content buckets and all, but when the brand started, it was just about the life we're living on the farm, the food we are making, and where we are selling. And it wasn't, there was a game on Facebook called Farmville.
Mm,
I don't know if you
of
remember.
course.
Yeah, and,
Of
and it
course.
was one of the highest played
Highest
games
played.
on
Yes.
Facebook. So we realized that,
Zynga, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, after with Zynga, I think
Yeah.
Farmville was one of them.
Yeah.
And I realized that people love to see life on a farm. The entire cows grazing, the manure, the farming, growing, the harvesting and stuff.
Absolutely.
And I realized that what me and Ajinkya were doing by having the social media account on Instagram and Facebook is just showing them that life. So it's like
Yes.
you were literally playing the game, and we were the guys who were at the back end, putting
Yeah.
things in order. So there was no content bucket. It was our life. We were traveling from the farm to the farmer's market, driving 350 kilometers, playing Coldplay in the farm truck. We used to put that up, saying that, listening to this track and driving down entire night to Bombay, meet you guys tomorrow at the farmer's market. Next day, we used to have people come to help us unload stuff from the farm truck.
How
So,
sweet.
and it was never planned. It was very, what was in our mind, we were just putting it up out there. We had the liberty, we were small, we could make mistakes, not noticeable. But today, when the account has a significant following and the brand has
Yes.
a significant customer base, I have realized that the teams and even we are slightly scared of making these mistakes. And just recently, had a huddle with the team, and I was telling them that, don't worry about how many people are noticing or what they will say. Keep being, keep acting like a person. The brand has to have a personality. Let's
Absolutely.
not get affected by who's noticing us and that pressure, and just keep being original. So
Who is your brand's personality? What is your brand's personality and who is your brand?
So I've always believed that brand personality is an extension of the founders. I cannot live a different life and create a brand for a different audience.
I agree.
I've believed in
It will
farming
impact.
this way.
Yes.
I've believed in making products this way and consuming products in this fashion.
Hmm.
And so is the brand when it talks, when it walks, very similar. I've always believed that people who come to support us in terms of investors and all need to be consumers first, and we have always had that when we raised capital,
Yes.
and we've ensured that those have all been consumers first. So I believe that the brand is an extension of your personality, uh, and then it's no effort, right? It's
Yeah.
no, you're not scheming, planning. It's just you're
Absolutely.
living,
You're doing.
you're doing,
It's a
you're
way
just
of
doing.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's with least effort, with least resistance, and people who like it will come out there, and that will be your consumer.
But Satyajit, you said something very nice. When we are younger and younger in the age of the brand, there's a certain daleri that you just go and do it because it's authentic. It feels correct in the heart. You go do it, and you know that the impact or the if at all negative impact is not going to be so much. Are you looking at everything that goes up today as well, or now the team does it?
No, we look at
You look.
social media. Me and Ajinkya look up
You still do,
nearly
no? So
everything.
that gut is still
Yeah, yeah,
yours.
and I believe that handle is a spokesperson.
Yeah.
It now speaks to whatever 3-5 lakh people that have been following the brand. So we are very conscious about that, and we are closely involved. We were born in the era of social media. If it wasn't for social media, we wouldn't have reached so many audience
Of
in
course.
this eight
It's
ten
one of the
years.
cheapest form of publicity, if you ask me.
Yeah,
Cheapest. When we initially started in this business of advertising and marketing, we said the visiting card is your easiest. Give it out to everybody. But today there's nothing like online, right?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't have been able to hire a hoarding and a newspaper ad when we started off.
When we started off,
And
exactly.
this was free. I
Mm.
had to just put up content, it went, and people followed, and there was traction. So we've always used social media to grow the brand, and I believe that that's still the case yet.
I love some of the content that you put, on the manji sitting on the charpai
Mhm.
in the farm, and still talking about nutrition over there, still talking about what is that planned? Is that planned as
No,
a
that's the prop that we have on the farm. That is the if you come to the farm, you'll see it.
huh?
That is what we have, and when we have to shoot anything, wherever we are just shooting on the spot out there. There is very little planning in terms of props and in terms of background and anything. Wherever we are, however we are, sometimes there is some issue to address, and my team tells me that you have to make this content, and I'm driving from Pune to Mumbai,
Huh.
or Pune to the farm, and I just make my colleague hold the phone, and we are recording while we are driving, and that's put
That
up as
goes
a
up.
reel or a post. So it's uh, you know this is a life we chose to not put a lot of effort and
Frills
think,
around.
and yeah, when we were doing a job that was a life where we were putting a lot of effort and, I would say, falsely living it. So when we came back to do farming, it was to be comfortable in our own skin, and we here try to be who we are, what we are,
And
the way
therefore
we
there's
are.
no need of a filter. There's
There's no
no
need
need
of
of a
filter, I
filter,
believe.
right? Yeah. And the beauty is your brand also stands for that. So everything you
I'm
do
glad.
is raw, earthy,
Yeah.
connected, and beautiful, just wonderful. What were some of the challenges that you had in D2C acquisition?
Lately, it's becoming costly to acquire new consumers
Hmm.
because, you know, I think the algorithms of these platforms are making it slightly difficult and
Tougher.
making you spend more and more to acquire a new consumer. So that is one. Lately, organic content reaching many consumers has become a challenge.
Become tougher, yes.
Um, and the shorter, putting a lot of value in a very short time is a challenge. So I believe that that is one, and also we have never spent on brand building. We have never ever hired a brand ambassador of sorts or anything, and never spent out there. So how do I create awareness on top of funnel?
Mm.
Uh, you know, at minimal costs,
Sure.
at literally minimal costs, and it's possible, I believe, but that's a challenge we're trying to crack.
Yeah.
How do I do it?
It's possible. It's definitely. See, one of the things that we spoke about was you in the US with Ajinkya, and when you all were talking, it was very endearing. People were directly converting,
Yeah.
right? So, in some of the other brands that we worked with, we've realized the touch points are important. Where India में जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. So get them to experience. Your farmers markets are beautiful ways for people to experience. And you said you've
Absolutely.
never missed a farmers market in how many years? You said
In now 8.5, 9 years,
8.5, 9 years.
every
Wow,
Sunday.
that calls for a record in itself, huh?
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
It is no effort. We love driving down to the farmers market, putting our wares onto tables,
Just like in the
speaking to
olden days.
community,
Mm.
crowdsourcing ideas, and telling them and seeing the expression on their face when we tell them this buttermilk is fresh and just churned yesterday, and how it affects you in the summers and stuff. And that kind of bonhomie between consumers and us in person.
And that'll be a conversion as well.
That's a
Because they
conversion
love the fact
automatically.
that you all are there.
Yeah.
Huh? But you
We you
manage.
you carry an energy. I
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah,
believe that
yeah.
founders carry an energy. That energy talks more than what you're speaking.
I totally agree with you. Because they will buy for you.
Yeah,
They
I
will buy
believe
for you.
ultimately it's you're what's getting sold. So
You're what's getting
yeah,
sold. It's your passion that's getting
yeah,
sold.
I believe
Yeah.
that completely.
But there's a limit to how much you can carry in the farmers markets.
There's a limit,
So
of
this is
course.
only for sampling or just
It's
for
for
awareness.
selling, but for those 4 5 hours to a limited geography. So like in
Limited.
Mumbai, we do a farmers market in Bandra. So people around that area come to the market. They buy stuff from us, and yeah,
You
I
can't
think
make this a property across the country since you must be having customers. So,
we have been, in fact, the success of this farmers market has led to many of farmers markets opening across the country now.
huh.
So wherever possible, like it isn't possible. It wasn't possible for us to do a farmers market in Delhi regularly, but now my in my marketing team there are two people dedicated for doing these flea events, these farmers markets,
Yes.
and the idea is that forget economic viability of this, but go out there,
And meet.
let consumers touch, feel, smell, taste, speak to you,
Yeah.
you speak to them. It's a story. It's not only a product you're selling. It's a story
Yeah.
about all this other backend sustainability and biodiversity, and
Yeah.
all that needs to be communicated in person to as many
Yes.
people as possible.
Do you do some sort of training of storytelling? You've, you said storytelling is like farming as well. So tell me a little about how you train your team on this.
Uh, I'm lucky that a lot of them have joined the brand from social media,
Oh,
so
okay.
they like the content, they
Already
they
aware of.
like what we were trying to build, the way we were trying to build,
Hmm.
and so they have become colleagues now. So I don't have to convince them or teach them anything. It's a life they believed in, and they're living it. And for those where we find that missing, we we try to make it very evident that uh, do not copy anybody, do not notice anybody. Even if brand X is doing something and brand Y is doing something and it's performing very well or it's not doing very well, you know there's a limited amount of attention and energy you have in your life, in your day. If you're going to focus it on somebody else, you're not doing justice. Do what you can to the best of your ability and leave it. doing that every day will have an effect, in the
How
long term.
beautiful. So consistency, and in fact, in our industry, in our work, we always say brand is consistency. So
Hmm.
like you're saying, very much on that, and it's a beautiful philosophy. So you're actually living that slow philosophy,
Yeah, yeah.
and in a
Trying to live it as the business progresses. There are a lot many other requirements that come up where you're required to be in person in a city for a longer time, fundraising with people who are not farmers for a longer time. But we have been trying to live that life. The reason why me and Ajiki came back to farming was to be on the farm, to grow food, to be with livestock, to put our hands in soil, cow dung, manure, to be with villagers. Uh, in the last 4 5 years, that is becoming less and less. But
that's true.
we are we're kind of aware of that, and we're putting an effort to ensure that how do I go back and be with my first love, which is being on the farm in the village with farmers. So we're taking those steps again to ensure we spend more time out there.
You can see my eyes are glazing over because this is everyone's dream. This is
Yeah,
every techie's dream to leave the corporate world and go
and
be in
realize.
nature. Yeah, and I think you lived that dream. But yeah, you've sort of answered because with scale comes speed, and with every startup is out to chase, and the moment you take raise funds, you have to chase
Yeah.
with speed. But this is the antithesis of what you want to put together. How will you balance this?
So I believe that in the long term, things will happen that make financial sense, that make sense for your investors and stuff. In the short term, you don't need to hurry. Um, and the reason why uh, people like this kind of a brand or stuff is because you are different. You are different. You're not the same hurry worry brand. You're not the same artificial brand. And then if you become that, you will lose
Correct.
your core USP. And I also believe that when you're identifying partners like work colleagues, like investment partners and all that, you need to ensure that the philosophy matches, and that's the most important thing. And I believe that though if we speak about a slow life and sustainability and stuff, we have grown over 85 90% compounding annually since the last 4 5 years. So we
Wow.
have made a lot of financial sense for our investors. We have made a lot of economic sense. Some of the highest returns we have generated for people who have invested us, a long time back, but never focused on that. And today also, those people who supported us are, and luckily they yet, the same philosophy is there. They tell us that don't lose your core. The reason why we wanted to be a part of it was looking at the life you all are living, at the work you all are doing, at the products you all are creating. Please keep to it. So I would say that, you know, uh, when like-minded people come, long term it makes all the sense. Financial, everything sense it
I
makes.
think there are tons of lessons from you, Satyajit, and I think a whole brand in itself that is defining a space that others have not hitherto occupied. It's very, very, and please keep to the core. I mean, I would be one of those advocates who will really, really be watching this aspect of it.
Yeah, I think there's, what do you mean is that keep being who you are.
Keep
I
being who
think,
you are. Keep being who
yeah.
you are. I know you know it better than I do,
No,
but
no, but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
that's important. Unless we change who we are, the brand will change. If I think
yeah,
we are
yeah.
who we are, and I think that will continue.
I think as a fan, I will watch. And I really want you to be this. But I
Thank
have a
you.
couple of more questions for you on this. I really love the way you all have built a community and leverage that community. Tell us a little more about how. Was it conscious or just came together? What do you do to feed the community today? Pun intended.
So, um, there has been this innate desire to let people in the city know how village life is, how food is grown, and uh, how good a farmer's life is. Because being born in a farmer's family, me and Ajinkya were constantly told that this is not the life you should live.
By dad,
You should, by dad, by everybody in the
others.
society,
Huh.
that go to a city and settle. Don't come back to do farming. Farming is not economically sustainable. It's not socially respectable. If you do farming, you won't even get a girl to marry. That's the kind of status it is right
Yeah,
now.
because, okay, I
And
can
whenever we went to
understand.
the village during our holidays, we loved that life. We loved the fact that there were cows in front of the house. The house was made with stone and mud and wood. You're walking on soil. And people were like, if you don't study, you will be with the cows. I'm like, you
It's not
know,
a bad thing.
it's not a, it's actually an entitlement.
Yeah.
In the city, you're walking, there's so much noise, the air is bad. People don't have time to even stop and talk to you. In the village, a guy is grazing his cow, he'll stop and you can talk with him for an hour. And it's not about competition, it's not about comparison. His talk and his is like, what did you eat today and how's the weather today? And you know I'm like, this is very good life. And having spent some time in the city, I wanted to tell people in the city that this is very good life. And I believe that's synced, and that's the reason why community got developed on our social media
Social
pages.
media, yeah.
And of course, the products that we produced were loved by
Well
them,
up
and
because
that's
they were,
again
yes, the
that's the
product
reason
was
why they
good.
get stuck with us.
Hmm.
So that were the initial intentions. Yeah,
And today you're only online on Insta, Facebook,
yeah. We're on Insta, Facebook, and YouTube.
YouTube, and WhatsApp. Of course, you continue
Yeah.
to communicate with them. What do you do for the community? Are there regular things that you do to feed the community or inputs
Actually,
from
we aren't
them?
doing a lot for the community in India, especially in the US. At least we're going and meeting the community in person every 6 months. In India, we haven't done that. We have taken it for granted that we know they're in our vicinity, but we should be doing more things. Right now, the communication is only through social media, and
I was thinking of this. It's a lovely idea to do something like a TBOF circle. So this is your
mhm.
friends of TBOF or whatever, and lots of meat there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
that's a good idea. I think,
some of
yeah.
I was thinking that we worked with another brand, Deep Rooted, and lots was done for different community aspects. You have a lovely, rich community, and all thanks to your content, the kind of content you all have
I'm
built.
I'm, I'm glad it
So
makes sense for the consumer, the community members, and it makes sense for us because we got people who keep us sustainable. So
is there a customer or a community led innovation that has ever come to you and you said, why didn't I think of this before?
I'll tell you one instance. I was speaking to a customer of mine 5.5 years back. She called me on a Sunday afternoon, and uh, you know I was on the farm sleeping, and I just woke up to her call, and she said, "I've been following the brand, and I've been buying your ghee and your sugarcane jaggery. Do you have something which is made from date palm?"
Hmm.
So she said, I come from West Bengal, and there's Nolan Good out there.
Nolan good, yes.
And I didn't know that there is a jaggery which exists, which is made from date palm sap. And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm not aware of this, and I don't know anything about this. But it remained in my mind. She's saying, Bengalis don't have any other jaggery but Nolan Good. I'm like, okay. And a month later, one of my neighboring farmers came to me saying that his father had grown date palm trees on 6 acres of land some 8 years back, and now they were kind of producing enough sap, and he was selling Nira. Nira is a drink, but Nira ferments to become alcohol.
Mm.
And the guy was being raided by excise officers, and headache it had become. He was like, very difficult. I get only 1 lakh of revenue from 6 acres. It's taken 6 years gestation period for these trees to grow, and I'm fed up. And my dad did the wrong thing, and I want to remove this. And I'm like, it's taken 6 years to grow. The barks have become big. They're producing sap, and you want to grow. You want to remove them now. Let's figure out what we can do that will give you, this the level of income that you want from
Yeah.
this. And I told him, a month back a customer had called me saying that there is a jaggery that is made from this sap. And he's saying, yeah, Dada, he's saying there's a picture called Saudagar where Amitabh Bachchan used to make jaggery from date palm sap.
Sweet.
And this happens in Bengal. So we then, kind of traveled to Bengal and got 4 5 artisans
Know
who
how of
make,
this.
yeah. And we got him to his farm. And the next year we made, I think, 400 kgs of jaggery. And I told him,
So,
take what you want and I'll sell it to the consumer. And I said, I don't know the pricing and all that. There was nobody selling date palm jaggery online that
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And the first year we sold 400 kgs.
Wow.
Next year we made 1000 kgs we sold.
I've
And
actually been looking. So I'm,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's one of our best selling products. It's out of stock always. And last year we sold close to 10,000 kgs from his farm. And he earns more than 45 to 50 lakh rupees a year from those 6 acres.
Oh my God, just brilliant.
So the farmer is happy.
Yeah.
He kept his orchard, it's grown organically, and the consumer who wanted a product from me got a product that's made just in my neighboring farm. So that
Wow.
is the power of community.
That is the power of community. Brilliant. Absolutely. Do you sign contracts with these farmers? What do you all have with them?
No, we have a large team that handholds them. People whom we call the farmer relationship managers. We have developed tech. We have an app that takes down all the traceability details of these farmers. And I have not believed in signing contracts because I was on the other side. For 4 years, I was a farmer doing farming myself. And I've always believed that tying up somebody, we tell him that, take all the inputs from us, all the know how, all the hand holding free of cost. And if you believe, that we can pay you the best, then sell it to me, or you go and sell it to anybody else. So that has been the relationship with farmers till date.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it's worked. It's worked well. Yeah.
And you're actually living what you're saying. You're
Yeah.
actually living what the brand stands for. And the word organic, you have redefined multiple times. I can see
Actually,
that. How will you stay with this when you grow further?
I like I said, it's who we are, and if we continue to stay who we are and believe in what we are doing, we'll continue to stay similar. There are many brands who have done it. Even if you look outside India, there is a brand that I kind of personally love. It's called Patagonia, and
Okay.
he
Yes.
grew it from a very small brand, came out of being conscious about the fact that when he was rock climbing, the rocks were getting kind of cracked and everything. And it became a $1 billion enterprise and even more than that in his lifespan. But he never compromised on how the brand grew, on his initial intention of why he started this. Until date, the brand enjoys good business, good value. I think he's donated 99% of the value that he created also to charity.
Okay. One of the other things I want to ask, since you mentioned, no contracts and all of this risk, is there ever a point where your reputation was at stake? And tell me, how was it handled through brand storytelling?
Uh, no, there have not been many instances of that sort because we have not taken very big risk or not taken the target to grow very fast. Whatever is possible, we have benchmarked that and tried to grow to that number. So I wouldn't say there's been such an incident where the brand reputation is at stake. And I believe that if there is one incident which makes the brand reputation at stake, then the brand is hollow. You know,
That's very
it's
stringent. That's very stringent.
yeah.
Have you never received a negative customer complaint
Oh,
or
we receive daily. We receive for every 10 positive, we receive one negative, and it's usually related to distribution. The product didn't reach them fast, reach them in a broken, leaked, cracked state, and there are very few, which I'm happy. There are very few on quality, where last time he had the ghee and the color was different, and this time the color and taste is different. And we've been trying to spread this awareness that it's it's like artisanal products. It's made daily fresh without any preservative, additive, binder, filler, color, essence, perfume. So, the taste
the
and
outcome would be
the
different?
character will be a little different every time.
And if you make it at home also, it is
It is
different
different.
every month,
Yeah.
right?
So those type of complaints we get, and there's the usual one, which is that the price is very high. So
Ah.
that is, I understand that,
How
but
do you manage online reputation? Team?
no, we keep whatever negative, positive we get out there. We try not to delete anything unless
It
it's
goes up on
abusive.
your website automatically?
Yeah.
Hmm?
And we, in fact, take some of them and make a post out of it. Like some
Hmm.
people sent us last year jaggery in the summer which had caught fungus.
Ah,
We took all those photos and we made a post on Instagram saying that this is our jaggery and it will catch fungus
because
because
there
it
is
does not have
no
any
preservative.
preservatives. And if pests find it okay to eat that jaggery, that means that means it doesn't have any chemicals. I'm not saying eat jaggery with fungus, but the keeping conditions need to be changed. You keep it in a cool, dry
Storage
place.
needs to be.
If you expose moisture to it or sunlight to it, it will catch fungus. It won't behave like your previous jaggery because it has some of the other chemical preservative. So just keeping a clean, educating
I
consumers.
saw you have something on honey as well. Why does honey
Yeah,
have to
crystallized. People tell us
crystallize?
there's sugar added, down
Yeah.
it's hard, it's
Yes.
crystal. But pure honey that is, unfiltered, unpasteurized, unheated, will always behave that way. It will be in a semi-crystallized and a semi-liquid state.
I think it's phenomenal the way you are communicating with this transparency, authenticity, and openness, because that is doing last section is one where there's a quick answer on five different words, sort of a rapid fire section. So, quickly going to go into this. If Two Brothers brand were a person, what would their Instagram bio be? Bio say. And we discussed this a little bit. Who are you as a person? Who are you as a brand?
that you can see. So I would say that tagline would be either just living, just
Being every day or
being
living
every day,
every
yeah,
day.
living every day, just
Okay.
being in the moment
That's
right now.
absolutely you. That's absolutely the brand as well. If you can pick one Indian food product on the shelves and you had a chance to rename it, redesign it, and put it out in the market, which one would it be?
We did that with tomato ketchup just 3 4 months
Ah,
back.
I saw
When we
that.
were studying tomato ketchups, we realized that the main ingredient is from farmers, which is tomatoes. But no brand has more than 7 to 8 or 9% real tomatoes inside. They use puree and they use only that much amount of tomatoes, and the rest is refined sugar. So we redefined that product. We called it True Tomato
I
and
saw
not
that.
tomato ketchup because these are true tomatoes in the ketchup.
Yes.
So we did that with that, and yeah, I think
So tomato ketchup as a category, or okay. What is one branding trend that you've noticed in the organic space that really makes you roll your eyes?
um, I think trend right now is and the one that we have also invested a lot is traceability. Since the last it's taken us 3 years to develop a solution
Yes.
where today when you scan the QR code on my product, you exactly understand Lakshmi Kant Pawar, the farmer who grew it a year back, the photo of sowing, the photo of fertigation, irrigation, till harvesting. When did it come to my mega kitchen to become a product? When was it on the shelf and when did you buy it? So the entire process has taken us. We have implemented an ERP at the back end. It's a dynamic traceability, and I've always believed that that is something that consumers have the right to know in detail from the day the seed was sown, the farmer's social life, till what processes were done to that, till it became a product and came to the shelf. So I think traceability is that feature.
You are actually putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
You are actually doing it. It is nobody's been able to do this. I haven't seen it this much anywhere. Um, what decision have you taken from the gut and not based on numbers and data?
I think Ajinkya took this decision
Okay.
to introduce ghee and khapli atta.
Ah,
So 8 years back, nobody knew the word Khapli existed. There was no brand, nothing. It was a wheat variety in Maharashtra where only in a year, for one occasion where you made broken wheat and jaggery and ghee, which is called lapsi in Marathi, it was used. And me and Ajinkya were having this on one of those festivals, and Ajinkya said that this tastes amazing. Why can't we make chapatis out of it? And my mother said, poor people make chapatis out of it. The rich eat from the hybrid wheat. And we
ah,
were like, why? That is soft, that doesn't have fiber. This looks like it has more
higher in
volume, more
gluten.
fiber.
Hmm.
And we started making chapatis out of it and eating it at home. And then Ajinkya took it to the farmer's market. And I was like, you will have to explain so many things. You can't break a category like wheat very easily. And for 8 years, he believed in that product. And it was a gut instinct that,
Very
this is
nice.
what consumers should have.
Yeah.
And today we are, seeing large brands coming up with Khapli Atta. And this category we created in India from scratch. And
Absolutely. The last one, if you had to steal any other brand's marketing team, which one would you steal and why?
uh, um, very difficult. I've never looked out in that fashion, or I've liked work from brands like Patagonia.
You said that,
Yeah,
yes.
but marketing teams. There are individuals who have liked the way they market their stuff, uh, but you know, I cannot
Is there anyone you'd
answer
like our
this.
listeners to follow, audience to follow? Who do you follow?
Like brands.
Yeah. Who do you respect for their marketing?
So I really don't follow marketing, gurus or somebody as such, but I follow a lot of people that help you think deeper, that help you think holistically, and that has an effect on the brand you're creating. So thinkers, philosophy, even to that extent poets, even
So nice.
Shakespearean literature. There's a lot of literary thing that you see, flowery thing on the face of it, but every play of Shakespeare
Has
has a
layer
uh,
beneath.
layer beneath, which is speaking so much of philosophy, so much of it's kind of addressing one human weakness in every play. Sometimes it's temptation, sometimes it's weakness for a woman, sometimes it's weakness for wealth, for all these things and jealousy and stuff. So I believe that studying these poets and this literature helps you not only to live, to create a good brand and a good company of sorts, but also to live a life that is more satisfying, and meaningful. So I would say follow these guys. Brand is an outcome of how you think, and how you think gets inspired or gets changed from following these thinkers and these people.
If you're listening to this and if you're hearing this for the first time in my podcast, I have goosebumps and I have eyes that are glazing up because it's really truly coming across to me that brands are not only built in boardrooms and on in through marketing discussions, but also built on the field. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to Satyajit and listening to him because you can truly see these are two brothers who are living their philosophy and bringing it to all of us as consumers as well. Thank you, Satyajit. It has
Thank you,
been
Tina.
an absolute honor to spend
My
time with you
pleasure. It
today.
was fun talking to you. Thank you so
We are
much.
iconic brand stories, and this is one of the most iconic brands that I'm going to meet in my lifetime. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, please follow us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Keep coming back for more. Thank you.